sorry that this January wrap-up is coming up so late. I had a really good first 3 months of the year reading, and then the last week hit, and I kind of got slumpy. Plus, my work schedule is really inconsistent. So the last week of January and this first week of February has been just like work and no reading. And the book I have been reading is just kind of putting me, I'll tell you what it is. You know what? It's, where is it? Is it this book? Yeah, it's this book. What Hunts Inside the Shadows. And I should be loving it, but it's just not vibing with me. And it's a whole thing. I'll talk about it later. But this video is about my January wrap up, and like I said, I had a really good start to the year. Let me know down below what books you read in January. I would love to know how you kind of kickstart your new year. If you're reading books from December or you just kind of like transition, or if January is like new start, new me, fresh new books. I really want to know. Let me know down below. And without further ado, let's get started. My name is Ragan, by the way. I didn't say that. Hello, welcome to my channel. So the first book that I read in 2023 is actually Furyborn by Claire Legrand. This was gifted to me for my birthday, I think it was, from my friend Pierre. I'll link his Instagram down below. And I really enjoyed this. I gave this book 5 stars. It follows 2 women, and they are set 1,000 years apart. So we have Riel, who is best friends with the crown prince, and then we have Ariella, or is it Estrella? Hold on, it's been a minute. Yeah, no, I was wrong. Eliana. Eliana is 1,000 years later, and she is a bounty hunter for hire. And I really enjoyed this. This is a dual point of view story. We follow both, and I liked the beginning a lot. The prologue is what hooks me. You find out what happens to Riel in the first like 4 pages. You know, is it even spoilery if I say if it's in the first 4 pages? I don't think so. Riel dies in the first 4 pages, and then you're like, oh, okay. And then you go back in time, and it's the story of like how she comes to die and how these 2 women's lives intertwine. And it kept me guessing the whole time. I ended up being right about how they intertwine, but I was still guessing. The romance is really good between Riel and the crown prince, and then we have a slow burn romance going on with Estrella. I am reading book 2. It does have a lot of political fantasy, but I think it's done really well, and I like the magic system and how it's tied in with gods and goddesses, and how in Estrella's time, 1,000 years later, these people don't believe in the same gods. So it's kind of mirroring, you know, society and religion as we know it today, how religions change over time and people believe different things. And those beliefs in this world have direct consequences. And I think that's really cool. Like the names of countries change with different time periods, and I enjoyed it. One thing that makes Riel kind of special is, I haven't even talked about like why these women are special. Basically, there's the Sun Queen and the Blood Queen, and these queens are in a prophecy and the whole world knows about it, and this prophecy is really prevalent in Riel's time, and then 1,000 years later, people are kind of like, oh, like that's just like a myth. But one of these women is the Blood Queen and one is the Sun Queen, and I'm enjoying it. It is a trilogy. I have book 2, so yes, I recommend this one. Okay, I'm really excited to check this one off because if you have seen my 2023 series Do or Die reading challenge video, I'll link it up above and down below. I am trying to read, at least start, if not read and complete, 23 series in 2023. I don't think I will complete all of the books in the series, but I want to at least start them. And I can check this one off. This is an easy one to check off. It's a duology. We have These Hollow Vows and These Twisted Bonds by Lexi Ryan. This is the Fairy Loot edition. It's very pretty. I'll show you quickly. The end papers, you have pretty blue foiling, and then you have the trio here. Okay, so where do I start with this book? this follows Abriella, and Abriella is a human in the human world, and there's Fae, and the Fae are evil, and basically it's a Cinderella kind of retelling in the book 1 where she dresses up to go to the ball, and she's a servant for her like stepmother, and she like, if she goes to this ball and she can kind of, you know, make things right and better for her and her sister, and potentially like get some money, you know, because she's really poor, and like that was fun. But then everything else felt really cookie cutter, and I know people say that it's kind of ACOTAR, but like it really is. Okay, so like this guy with the black hair, I mean, just call him Rhysand. And then this guy with the white hair, we should just call him Tamlin. It really felt like Lexi Ryan is fangirling so hard over Miss Sarah J. Maas. And in many instances, I like it and I don't mind it because I love ACOTAR. It's my favorite series, so I like reading books inspired by it. But this was a bit too similar. It did have its unique USPs. Like, there are these goblins and they take your hair and you like, they cut your hair and they can like travel you and like grant you wishes. And then there's like magical bracelets that you can call on the goblins for help. And there's this unique magic going on, and the world was interesting in its own way, but not enough for it to be so different in a duology. Like in book 2, it felt so rushed, and I think I would have enjoyed this series more if it was at least 3 books. It has the material to be a series. It wrapped up so quickly in book 2, and the love triangle was meh. Like, I didn't feel any hardcore feelings about any of the characters, and Abriella really bothered me in book 2. She ends up being this like chosen one, and it just felt like, it felt cheap and like kind of taking the easy way out, and like the bad boy wasn't like super bad, and the steam was okay. I just feel okay about it. I read it a month ago and I can't really tell you what happened in book 2. The last 100 pages especially just made it go downhill for me. I ended up giving book 2 2 stars, whereas I gave book 1 4 stars because I really enjoyed the process of reading it, even though I said it was familiar. Like, I had a fun time and I read it quickly, and it did have its own thing going on, especially in book 1. But book 2, man, book 2. I wish it was longer. That's all I can say. I wish it was 3 books at least. I mean, they even had like mating marks that were the same, and like, you know how Rhysand's all about stars? That sounds like a weird phrase, but you know what I mean. Like stars in the night sky. Like, that was the same in this book. It was too similar. Come on. Like, we can do a little bit better, I think, especially with such a popular traditionally published book. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Okay, and then one night I was like filming content. I think I had just filmed a book haul, and I actually need to refilm that video because I was a hot mess. So that video is coming out later this month, my Valentine's Day present to you. But I had just filmed that video and I was like, oh, I hate this. I need to just like take my mind off this video. I just spent 3 hours doing this and I don't like it. So I decided to, on a whim, pick up, some of you are gonna know what this is if you've been following me on Instagram and Goodreads. I picked up The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is also on my series Do or Die challenge, and I gave this one a retry because I read the first book 5 years ago and I didn't like it, and I decided to try it again. And y'all, I read the whole trilogy in 6.5 days. I took 2 days on each book, and I would have read them faster had it not been for work. I really enjoyed this series. I have an entire vlog coming out. One of them I gave less stars than the other, and I have feelings, especially like the whole, like, I know traditionally Fae have like animal features, but like the tail, you know, the tail on Cardan, it's just not my vibe. So I have to like look past certain things, but I did enjoy this, so look out for that vlog. I'm currently reading The Stolen Heir, which is the newest release in this world, and then I'm going to pick up How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories. Holly Black, I have to say, what she can do in 300 pages is extremely impressive. Some authors write books that are like 500, 600 YA fantasy books, and they can't achieve the same level of plot development and character arc and story progression that Holly Black does so well in 302 pages. Like, I think the last book is the shortest. It was my least favorite, but it was so short. What is it? 305 pages. Yeah, so she's a talented writer. So I'm happy that I gave that a go, and I can now check off 2 series from that 2023 challenge. So I only have 21 series to go. Not a bad start for January, I think. Okay, and then I pulled from my Daddy Wrath jar of hell for the first time. I pulled Briarheart, The Dragon's Promise. Oh, and I also pulled, where is it? I have to go find it. Better Together by Christine Riccio. I can never say her name. Guys, I didn't read them. I didn't read from my TBR jar, which was the whole point of making the jar, was to read the books on my shelf and to have forfeits and challenges, and like my only rule was that I have to read the 2 or 3 books that I pull a month, and then everything else I can buy new books, I can mood read, I can do read-alongs, I can do reading challenges, I can do readathons. But guys, I'm trying not to be hard on myself because work got crazy, like I said, and I did read 6 books in like 2.5, 3 weeks. And then the last 2 weeks I've been in a slump. And I think part of the slump is coming from the fact that I'm not in the mood to read any of these 3 books. And if I read a book that I'm not in the mood to read, I give it a bad review, I think. Like, my star rating goes down because I'm not enjoying it. And I just don't want to do that. I did start Briarheart on the train, and I think I'll like it. It's a Sleeping Beauty retelling, and it's all about like sisterly affection and sisterly bonds and stuff. But I'm going to be a little bit lenient on myself as long as I read these books before the end of the year. Like, I don't want to get to the end of December and I'm like, oh, I said I was going to read all these books on my shelf and I didn't. I don't know. I'm really disappointed in myself for not reading them, but at the same time, if you mood read like me, then like, what's the point if you're not going to enjoy it, you know, which is the whole point of reading. And I'm already in a slump because of these books, plus my current read, which I'm just not vibing with. And I think I'm gonna love The Dragon's Promise. Like, I love Six Crimson Cranes. Elizabeth Lynn's one of my favorite authors, but it's just not the right time, you know? Does that make sense? Am I making any sense? I feel like the only people that wouldn't understand this are you guys. Like, no one else would understand. So I guess technically these 3 should go onto my February TBR, but I've already pulled 3 books for February. And have I started those either? No, I haven't. And I leave for Budapest on Monday, and I have like work conferences and, you know, just life going on. So it's been a bit tricky. Okay, so in terms of reading stats, which is something that I don't ever keep track of, but I want to keep track of this year, I read 6 books, all of which are young adult YA fantasy, and they all have romance in them, so that's pretty on brand for me. My total pages read were an average of 404 pages a book, but my total, hello, if I can pull up my notes pages. Okay, my total is 2,425 pages read in the month of January, and then I have 3 books that I didn't get to that were on the TBR, so not a bad start, but like, it wasn't good. Yeah, I don't know if February is going to be any better because I'm going to Budapest for a few days, which I will vlog for you, and I'm supposed to be reading some chunky books this month. We'll see what I get to. You know, February is going to be fantasy romance month for a majority of people, but like, I read fantasy romance every month. So February's just gonna be like self-love. I'm just gonna read what I love and what I'm in the mood for. That's my Valentine's Day gift to myself. So anyway, thank you so much for watching today's video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. We chat about fantasy and fantasy romance primarily here on this channel. And let's drop a heart emoji down below if you made it to the end of this video, so I know that you watched it and I can thank you in the comments. And let me know again what you read in January, what you're planning to read on in February, and what your opinions are on The Cruel Prince and these Hollow Vows specifically. And if you've read Furyborn, because I feel like no one reads that book, but it's really good. It was a 5-star read. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in another video super soon. Bye.